And our top focus this news wheel. India and the United Kingdom have signed the historic free trade agreement. Prime Minister Modi met with his British counterpart, Keir Starmer, at the Chequers Estate. This is in central England. After signing the agreement, both the leaders met together and briefed the media. The India-UK free trade agreement will significantly be improving market access for Indian goods and will also boost bilateral trade by around $34 billion annually. The two prime ministers will also unveil a UK-India Vision 2035 to take their partnership to greater heights in a time of rapid global change. The highlight was, of course, Prime Minister Modi's curry dig. He said that we Indians don't just bring curry, but also creativity, commitment, and character to the United Kingdom. He also thanked Prime Minister Starmer for the rousing welcome and condemning the Pahalgam attack and inviting him to India as well. A historic free trade agreement that has now been signed between India and the United Kingdom. But beyond the jewelry and, of course, whiskey, we're talking about various Indian goods that will now get greater access into the United Kingdom's markets. And Sir Keir Starmer himself also pointing out that this is going to bring forth £4.8 billion of boost to the United Kingdom's economy, also making room for several jobs for the youth in the United Kingdom. And what this FTA is also essentially, just like the Prime Minister pointed out, a blueprint of the shared legacy of India and United Kingdom. It's going to be a major boost for women entrepreneurs across all sectors in the United Kingdom and a major boost for skilling and job growth avenues for Indian youth in the United Kingdom. A historic free trade agreement that has been penned between the leaders of these two nations, Prime Minister Modi and Keir Starmer. Senior Executive Editor, News9, Aditya Rajkol, with us here on the broadcast. Aditya, a historic deal that has now been signed between these two great leaders, but the Prime Minister's curry dig is soon going to be catching all the headlines tomorrow across all the newspapers. Some major points that have been put forth in this FTA are the skilling and job avenues opened up for the youth, but also women entrepreneurs are going to get a major boost across all sectors. Over to you. What's the latest here?
Well, absolutely. A historic deal, a historic free trade agreement finally being inked between India and the United Kingdom. Kabir, it took 3 long years of negotiations, hectic parlance really taking place between India and UK, both in New Delhi and as well in London as well. Of course, we know that the UK cars and whiskey will be much cheaper to export to India, and the Indian textiles and jewelry cheaper to export to the United Kingdom. But much more is clearly expected out of the deal. We know for a fact that earlier this year, when Trump took presidency of the United States for the second time, he brought in tariffs, massive tariffs, not just for India, but all several emerging markets and countries all across the globe. Perhaps that was the last nail in the coffin that helped really, India and UK come closer, bridge the gaps, and finally ink this very crucial and significant and important deal between the two countries. Apart from that, both these countries, India and UK, have also committed to lay out a roadmap to tackle the menace of illegal immigration that has been, grappling these nations for quite some time. There are a lot of Indians who really, immigrate to UK as well as to European Union and several of the Western countries, many of them through the donkey route, through the illegal route as well. And that's something, a cause of concern for UK. We've seen protests, widespread protests all across the UK against illegal immigration. But back to the FTA, the Piyush Goyal has just tweeted, India's Commerce Minister, congratulating both India and UK to finally, achieve this massive target. Apart from the FTA and apart from what this really brings to the table between these two very significant countries which have had historic and traditional ties for decades and years together, there have been security concerns as well, defense partnership, security concerns, intelligence gathering, and a lot more that was discussed between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his UK counterpart Keir Starmer minutes ago.
Absolutely. Aditya, stay on with us. Let's play out a quick excerpt from that press brief where the Prime Minister specifically spoke about the Pahalgam terror attack. Listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say.
पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता। Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी।
Aditya, again the Prime Minister redrawing that red line that there can be no double standards when you're talking about countering terrorism.
That's right, Kabir. A very strongly worded condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack really coming in from UK, and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi really welcoming that statement from the United Kingdom against the perpetrators of the Pahalgam terror attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir, but also reflecting the larger cooperation on security and intelligence between India and UK. You'd remember that apart from Pakistan-sponsored terror, there's been the Khalistani terrorism and Khalistani radicalization that has been a cause of concern for India. We heard a couple of days ago India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri highlight that very clearly, that it's not India's problem alone, it's UK's problem as well. There are Khalistanis who've got a safe passage and of course a safe shelter on the UK soil. And there's much more than the talking that the UK government has been doing for a while, but there needs to be significant action. In fact, in the last couple of years, there have been several attacks, intimidation tactics as well by these Khalistani groups against Indian diplomats, particularly the Indian High Commission in London, which came under attack as well. And India's premier investigative agency, NIA, had to launch investigations, releasing wanted posters of UK citizens and Khalistani radicals and terrorists based in London and neighboring areas. So that is something that is being pointed out to UK, being discussed in this bilateral meeting as well. And there's an expectation that there will be assurance from the UK side that tough, significant and result-oriented action will be taken by the UK government.
Aditya, the Prime Minister made sure that apart from the FTA and its particulars, this was a quick, short speech, but he went all guns blazing. He spoke about Pahalgam. He also spoke about the Air India crash. Here's the Prime Minister extending condolences to the British families over there. Aditya, with us right on the other side.
पिछले महीने अहमदाबाद में हुई दुर्घटना में मारे गए लोगों में कई यूके के नागरिक भाई बहन भी थे। उनके परिवार वालों के प्रति हम संवेदनाएं प्रकट करते हैं। यूके में रहने वाले भारतीय मूल के लोग हमारे संबंधों में एक लिविंग ब्रिज का काम करते हैं।
Well, Aditya, the Prime Minister, of course, extending condolences because on the day of his landing, the Daily Mail had come out with that body mix-up headline as well. But the MEA, acting really swiftly, dispelling all those news, saying that we're working in tandem with the authorities. We did speak about that as well. And the Prime Minister now embalming all of those wounds as well.
Well, that's right. In fact, Prime Minister expressing condolences, not just for the Indian families, but the families of those UK nationals who lost their lives in that unfortunate Air India crash a few weeks ago in Ahmedabad, the Air India that was on way from Ahmedabad to, in fact, Gatwick in London. But yes, it seems to be true that there has to be, unfortunately, some kind of a mix-up while the DNA samples were being collected. But in such circumstances where a large chunk of dead bodies are there and they have been burned together, unfortunately, in that plane crash, the DNA mix-up unfortunately does happen. And this is common in such air accidents. And that's what the Indian government has said, that when concerns were pointed out, immediately action was taken by the government of India. And India is in touch with the UK authorities and their counterparts to, in fact, prevent any such further, occurrence. And of course, everything possible is being done, not just by the Aviation Ministry, but by the Ministry of External Affairs as well. It's an unfortunate accident. Investigations are underway to know the root cause, but whatever can be done for the families who have been affected by that, perhaps is being done by the Indian government.
So, Aditya, all in all, I think a historic deal that's been signed between India and the United Kingdom. You rightly pointed out it's been 3 years in the making. Piyush Goyal's exact tweet explains it all. About $56 billion in trade today, set to double by 2030. But at the same time, and we are going to play out that excerpt as well, the Prime Minister took a veiled dig as well, saying that us Indians don't just bring curry to the United Kingdom, we also bring characteristics, we also bring culture and creativity to United Kingdom when we go there.
Absolutely, very fine words by the Indian Prime Minister. India is known for the curry, the great chicken tikka masala that's famous on the streets of London and elsewhere in the United Kingdom. But Indians are known for their integrity, they're known for their character, and of course for bringing in culture. Significantly, not just to UK but all across the globe. You can go and roam around on the streets of United Kingdom and you'll know that a great workforce, be it from information technology to any other field, there are Indians out there who are the most talented ones, and this is the world over. Indians immigrate, they study in India, they study abroad, but they finally immigrate and are really helpful for the rise of several companies all across the globe. We've seen that in the US as well, with the top CEOs and top managements being led by Indian professionals, and same is the case with UK. The Prime Minister very correctly pointed out that let's not define Indians only for the curry that they bring on the table, but they bring much more, and the topmost being the character and of course culture.